much for coming out on this very wet, cold Thursday evening to see our author this evening. We at Morgenstern love having local authors, although maybe not so local.
It used to be local.
It used to be, yes ma'am. And so here, I'm just here to introduce the poet, Ms. Bronislava Volková.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Eric Ransberger,
That's close enough.
I apologize, is here to talk about a little bit of her life and her work.
Hello, friends. I'm going to keep this brief. My name is Eric Ransberger. I am a friend of Bronia's, and for many years. I wanted to be here tonight so I could introduce this reading and introduce you to this book, which I'm happy to see that a couple of people in the audience have already purchased. If you have not already purchased it, it is available for sale here along with some other ones of her work. So for those of you who don't know, I imagine many of you do, but I just want to say that Bronia escaped from Czechoslovakia in 1974, lived briefly in Western Europe, and came to this country, taught at a couple of distinguished universities, wound up at the distinguished university here in town for many years, where she taught Czech language and literature until her retirement. Since then, she's lived mainly in her hometown of Prague, but she comes back here every so often to grace us with her presence. Tonight is about being able to have her back in town with us and to celebrate the release of this book. Bronia speaks and writes in several languages. She's most comfortable writing her poems in Czech. She's been translated into several languages. This particular book she translated herself. And as I was looking through it, I thought, many of the poems struck me as, this is a particular specific moment in the poet's life that has triggered this poem. And then as I sat with him a little more deeply, I realized that there was a familiarity to him because the feeling that was represented was something that I had felt in many times in many places in my life. So she has that ability to zero in on a moment of her life that is something like what she shares with your life. I'm going to give you a little sample, a little taste, and text stuff going on there, I see. Yeah, this is from the poem in this volume that begins with the line, "My dears, I would so gladly come to visit." As we all know, convictions are usually foolish. Conviction is conviction, and being is being. People form convictions to drive away emptiness, but the cure for emptiness is a deeper emptiness. So you're going to now be able to hear Bronia's poems in Bronia's own voice. Please join me in welcoming Bronislava Volková to the stage.
Thank you so much for this kind introduction. I enjoyed it. And thank you everybody for coming. It's really nice to be able to read again in Bloomington. It's been years. And I used to do readings with Writers Guild and when it first was starting, actually.
Yeah.
And I have basically actually lived in Bloomington till 2018. And as Eric said, I had kind of a dramatic life because I have left Czechoslovakia became a refugee. And actually was condemned to a year and a half in prison, but in absentia. So instead of prison, I ended up coming to America. And and I taught in several universities, Harvard, University of Virginia, and twice actually here. So I moved to Bloomington twice. And so I, of course, most of my life, I practically didn't have public because I was writing in Czech, and who knows Czech here? So raise your hand. Ah, there's one. And so then I very early started translating my poetry into English for that reason, and in fact there was also no possibility to publish. And the first poem I have ever published was published actually in English in a journal called Nimrod. It was in the West. And so then, of course, I have predominantly written in Czech still, and sometimes in English though as well. And so my books were always kind of hybrid in that sense. And that's when I just decided eventually to do bilingual editions in order to have the collection that I was writing on together, so to speak. Because I didn't want to have part of it in Czech and part of it in English, and half of the audiences couldn't really understand. So that would be bad. So I have consistently written then since like 2000, I think, bilingually. And I also became a collage artist. We have just had we actually still have, right, an exhibit of my collages in the Kahi Institute, who is actually, on whose kind invitation I am actually here this time around. And yeah, it's in the Maxwell Hall, for those of you who don't know where Kahi is. And it's going to be there till when? End of November, till end of November. It's a small selection of my collages, but enough, about 30. So if you're interested, you can see them. But the reason I'm mentioning them right now is because, and I will talk about that a little bit later as well, I have also immediately wanted to use them in my books. And so that made the books even less sellable. Not even sellable, but publishable. And so I brought actually to show there's very few of those books left. You know, I just have a couple of individual copies which I have really made handmade. And these are literally the last copies from that time. I mean, it's been 20 years ago that I've done those, really. And this one came out, and this is like selected poems that was published by before that time by a prominent publisher in New York. And this one you can just get basically secondhand at this point. Even I had to get it secondhand because it's just not around anymore. But I think that's enough talk, and maybe we can talk about the books later. And for now, I want to start reading from this book, which is my 12th book of poetry. And so it's, so to speak, my late work, in a way. It's a book about loss, as a matter of fact. It's called Where Everyone Leaves, Never to Return. Most of my poems, by the way, don't have titles, so don't expect. Dawn spreads its transparent fingers within my solitude. My heart gentle opens its petals for life-giving rain. The morning is pure and open in prayer for the new day. The mystery of twilight from a distance prepares to nudge me into another realm, into a night of ecstasy. No, a very different poem. Dog, 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 dog. And there we have it, with capitals at the beginning of each line. We mark our presence. No need to change, to strive, speak, or run. We are here, sitting, walking, living, with the peaceful passion of your eyes. Those who leave do not return, but they are there. No need to speak of it, do it, say it. To go, no need, God. Those on the other side must surely sing, must surely relax and feast on manna of heavenly words, or silence. Silence might be better. Meaning comes only with words that are unnecessary. Thus, ultimately, meaning too is surprisingly unnecessary. Oh, how liberating that meaning of life's pursuits is actually unnecessary. Peace, poetry, poems, all this, all that, no longer calls for sweating and sharing and shouting and slurping in little steps, in large steps, with memories, with jest, with sadness, vanishing, flowing, rowing into that garden without guards and words. Dog, God, cat, tack, tick, talk, love willing, love living, gone. One more long poem, but then I'll go to shorter ones. This one is a farewell to my sweet Cushy. It was my favorite cat. Love, you're gone. Life is not the same without your fur in my hand, without the blue of your eyes, without your presence, without you seeking our togetherness, without your appetite, without your hesitant step, without your squeak. Oh, you, the meekest of the meek, you are no longer there to say good night to greet the morning, to return to. You lost your strength and agility, your fullness and your suppleness. You remained motionless under the table in your favorite spot, with your eyes open into the unknown. I remember the little walks you took in the garden when your strength had waned, to say goodbye to nature in the last 16th summer of your life, to find peace in that which you were always so hesitant to accept. My dearest being, soulmate, companion, loyal and calm, rose of my heart, made of fine fur, and oh, so vulnerable. Always in need of care and protection. Where are you now? My eyes no longer seem capable of crying. Your body smelled of raspberries. And from time to time, even now, I catch a whiff of you, no longer tangible. It is time. It is time for the best and for the fullest, for the nest to fill with fluid leaves that genuinely welcome. It is time to dream and swim up the stream, to fly on the delightful wings of your graceful peace offering. Outside the windows, the wind on its knees sings its song to the sun. It reaches its arms toward the mountains where it goes to sleep. My love, I no longer recognize you. So many times you have changed your face, your manner and step, touch and voice. You're so fickle and changeable. Now here, then gone. Memory laments that it barely knows you, that you leave before it has time to record you in its annals, and it already has to work on a different face, a different touch, a different contest. Only repose refuses to intervene. That's why it's better to walk into the unknown, alone, without a cane, wide open. I love silence. There are not many who know how to sound better than silence, how to rejoice, how to stitch the scars, heal wounds, how to bloom with love. Summer, unforgettable summer, brimming over with endless green, juicy saturating us with its essential vitality. We fear life without it, where everyone leaves, never to return. We can live even with less, without the love we dreamed about, without those who were with us in times when we were alive, without those we loved in that life that is so brief, even without us. Oops. What is that?
I have no idea.
Does it still work? I guess so. Once the forest sang a gentle song of wakefulness and dreaming, and the bush hid its flame and desire for the next star in the pure sky. Today, I no longer feel the breeze of past dreams and hopes for the kisses of spring and gentle caresses for the autumn heaviness of leaves and snowy mountain paths. Passion has faded and grown parched without harmony. Words drip from the body's cavities and sometimes choke on saliva left over in the mouth, no longer yearning for summer's intoxication. Old age is sounding its note, the solitude of walls and everyday steps. We no longer know where they lead and why, only lightly caressed by the wind. They huddle in a silence no one knows, no one penetrates, in a silence saturated with everything. When I think of it, how my relatives traveled on their last journey, I no longer want to travel or be. All that tireless building of future dreams, all that doing and endless communication, this weighing and carting together of the unnecessary, the blows of fate, obstacles and honors, gradually merge into indistinguishable goals, pleasures, and added values. I love the divine ablutions, the boundless paradise of nothingness and weightlessness, an invisible cup of fulfillment. I have arrived. This is my home. This is where I weed my mind of eggshells. Here is where I sit, all naked at the core, all myself, all peace, all seed, all journey, motionless. I dare to be now and everywhere. I am one with you and everyone. I have arrived into an embrace. I fly like a bird with no place to land, where I could have a rest. I hover in the vast space and embark on unexpected journeys to unanticipated places where flamelets of love keep me alive when I lose heart. I'm no one's, as no one asks for me. I'm no more than God's little creation, a child, a dream. I offer my seed to all without distinction, without reward, like the proverbial lily in the field. This one is about Punchi. Some of you knew. And it's called A Silent Witness. Silence. My witness has left without a voice, without warning, without lament. All at once his strength failed him and he went silent. Without explanation, he surrendered to the inevitable course of events. He will still accompany me daily for some time to come, as if he were here, and then less and less, until it becomes difficult, even by thought, to touch, to reach him. And all will be stillness, without witness, cold as a snowdrift. A tumble in a briar patch can suddenly become a flight into heaven. Sorrow can easily transform itself into the miracle of joy, into a flash of revelation. Now here is a deliberation. Why did a loving God create an unloving man? Perhaps because even he cannot gift love. There's an Adam gone astray at every turn, wanting to be a king at any cost, not knowing where he's headed or which way he's getting there, what it is he honors and what he desecrates. Accursed by wall upon wall that he can neither dispel nor destroy, he clutches his deadly weapon. He lays down his life and overshadows the trees for mere chimeras. Blinded by the tired string of abandonment and aborted sentences, choosing his proud worlds and dogged emptiness, he has written off all souls, callous and deaf, as he steps into the desperate streets. His dowry is the wind. Well, I think I'll shorten it. I have a poem about old women as well, but you can read it in the book maybe. What about the awareness of dance? The days pile up and float by one after another, weightless, immersed in a dream without end. We float in the arms of mere time, sounding in boundless nights that do not concern us, that do not see or hear us, filled with their own noise, that never comes. Jump. So we arrive unnoticed and then leave for home. The green branches fan our temples when we wake up amid the wintry peal of the bells. We are not here by chance. We are aware of everything, even if we often pretend not to be. Knowing hurts. We dry our tears only in secret because others keep silent. It feels easier and wiser for them that way. Well, you have already mentioned the poem, My Dears, I Would So Gladly Come to Visit. So maybe I can skip that one.
Oh, no, read it.
Should I read the?
Read the whole thing. I get just a taste.
Okay. My dears, I would so gladly come to visit, but I don't know where to find you. You're shrouded in mystery, and it is not certain that it will still be possible to meet. Some people are convinced of that, but as we all know, convictions are usually foolish. Conviction is a conviction, and being is being. People form convictions to drive away emptiness. But the cure for emptiness is a deeper emptiness, not filling it with ideas we have taken a fancy to and have domesticated, and so invested with a general validity. To bear the emptiness is more genuine. I kind of like this one. We eat and drink in so many languages. We wade in so many waters. Great love unites us and divides us. Space is getting smaller these days, but still keeps us apart. Time kisses our lips unexpectedly and lightens our load. Things that once were simply are no more. And so we are set free. Purified by fire, we carry on. What would we be without fire? Just potato pancakes made in various ways. Well, maybe I end the reading with this. When I am gone, almost like now, it will be beautiful, almost like now. I will watch, almost like now. I will see, almost like now. I'll be a witness, almost like now. I'll be with God, almost like now. No one will see me, almost like now. All will be handed over, almost like now. All will be washed away, almost like now. All will be free as a bird. I will be free as a bird, almost like now. Everything will be fantastic, almost like now. I will shake hands with the angels, almost like now. I will regret nothing, almost like now. Everything will be silent, almost like now. I will rejoice and ring the bells, touch lips, give joy to the living, caress them in spirit, almost like now. Thank you. I don't want to read you the whole book because then you wouldn't have anything to read. So, yeah, well, I've already mentioned a little bit about the books. This book, actually, yeah, I want to actually mention a little bit about book publishing, my book publishing, because like I mentioned that this book, that was fortunate, came out 93, you know, it's a long time ago, it's selected poems. And most of the time it was really impossible to even find a publisher. Well, I published in the Czech Exile Press in Munich, and those books are no longer available. And then, after I discovered the collages and all, I have learned how to bind books even, and also it was the time that I started writing bilingually, and at that time, again, that was something that was not terribly accepted in America. And so here I have actually 2 books left from that series that was published in 2000, few years after that. And sometimes I used handmade paper even, and so, but these books are 20 years old, so no wonder I only have 2 of those left. And then there's another problem. I started publishing in Czech Republic when I started going there more and living there even now. And when you publish there, then the publisher this is what Ellen complained about. I published some bilingual books there, but they don't get here because it's just too difficult for the publisher to put it even on Amazon. So whatever was published there doesn't really get here. On the other hand, by the way, this book that was published in America doesn't get to Czech Republic because it's just too expensive to send it there, and so the distributors there are just not going to even work with the publisher. So I am still divided like in 2 cultures and 2 sides of the ocean. In fact, I had to, as a matter of fact, produce my own copy of this in Czech Republic if I wanted to do a reading there. Because he just couldn't get it there. And I don't think he will, it looks like. So, it's a little complex. And, but I want to thank you all for your attention, and like I said, if anybody is interested, come and get some of those books. And maybe we can actually have a conversation if anybody wanted to talk or ask about something. I'll be happy.
Look at the culture, so you grew up in the Czech Republic under communism, and so when you're writing the poems, do you feel, even translated into English, is something missing from what you felt when you wrote it in the Czech?
Of course, this is the question about translation. Translation is always tricky, of course. And, but it just became such a second nature to me that I think I do rather well in the sense that I feel like the poems come out in English as well. But I agree with you definitely that, if the poem has been originally written in Czech, then I feel that the Czech version is stronger, typically. But the other thing happens as well, that I write it in English and then I was translating it into Czech, and in Czech it just didn't work quite the same way. Sometimes you can compensate so nicely that it feels like I sometimes don't even remember what language I wrote it in, But other times it's obvious that the other language doesn't yield to some part of the language of where it was written.
Just a follow-up comment on that. Robert Frost, the early 20th century American poet, was asked what poetry is, and he says, poetry is what gets lost in translation. And then the mid-20th century poet Galway Cannell said he favored translation. He said poetry is what survives translation.
Well, that's great. That's a great compliment, I feel. But the great scholar Roman Jakobson, he didn't believe in translation. He was saying translation is like kissing a woman through a veil. He of course had to give it a sexual metaphor. And again, I believe that he was right on one hand, and on the other hand he wasn't. Because there are such situations even when, for example, the poet that you will not know, a Czech poet, Josef Hora, early 20th century, translated Pasternak into Czech. And Pasternak told him that it was better than his poetry. So even such situations can happen. So I sort of feel divided about whether it's a good thing or not good. For me, it's a good thing. For me, it works. But I must say that I also always get help of native editors, absolutely, because as great as I translated, it needs it. It absolutely needs it. And like in this case, I even had 2 or 3. It was amazing. The publisher actually, I think himself, is an excellent translator. And so even though I had it already edited when I sent it to him, he did another whole overhaul. And then he gave it to another editor, and he's still doing some overhaul. So it's I guess writing is not simple. But it would be questionable. I would have had to save all those versions to see if it was absolutely necessary. But I just felt like his revisions were pretty good. So I let them go. There's nothing more horrible than when you get an editor who ruins your manuscript. But that wasn't the case here, I don't think. I think he did a great job.
Can we have a round of applause for our wonderful board?
Thank you again.
If you would like a copy of her book, she has some for sale up here,
Sure.
and she will be here to sign copies if you would like your copy signed. You're fine.
I was thinking,
I wish I'd known it was cash. I did buy one.
you what?
I bought